What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're going to learn 7 ways to use the ChatGPT Code Interpreter plugin. So let's get started. Okay, so the first application we're going to look at is the idea of doing exploratory data analysis from a CSV file. This is one of the most common ways to use the ChatGPT Code Interpreter plugin, and it's one that I really like. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be loading a CSV file, and we're going to be writing a prompt to ask for a exploratory data analysis on that data set. So we're going to write something like perform data analysis, perform exploratory data analysis on this data set, showcasing the main trends and insights from the data. And the data I'm going to use is one that I already have it stored here. So we're going to be loading up this climate data set that I pulled from Kaggle. Actually, let's do a cooler one. We're going to be pulling a solar radiation data set that I have on a project that I've been working on. So I'm just going to go into my folder and ChatGPT Code Interpreter plugin. And there we go, solar prediction.csv. And now I'm going to upload this prompt plus the CSV file, and we can look at the results and see what happens. So essentially now it's generating a bunch of explanations on what each column, what information is contained in each column, right? And the cool thing about this is it's going to explain what it's going to do, and then it's going to be doing, and we're going to be looking at the complete explanation of the data, which for me is just mind-blowing how easy this thing is and how easy you can get something really good. So let's take a look at the final results. So now it's explaining stuff like, okay, so these are the columns available. You have, time of the data point, radiation. This is a data set for solar prediction. So you're predicting solar radiation in a given region. So you have a bunch of information like pressure, humidity, wind direction, speed, etc. And there you go. So now we can get a distribution of radiation, distribution of temperature, distribution of pressure, humidity, and you can get a sense for what the data contains extremely easy. You can get, look at that, a correlation heat map of the variables in the data set. And notice that it's only showing a correlation for the variables that make sense to a correlation. It's not doing a correlation for everything. It could have done something like doing correlation from Unix time and data, but no, it's doing correlation for radiation, temperature, pressure, humidity, wind direction, and speed, which makes complete sense. So yeah, this is one awesome application of the code interpreter, which is to use it as a first step in your data analysis pipeline where you're doing exploratory data analysis and just taking a look at the data. Here it's showing a time series of radiation over time, temperature over time, and pressure over time. So you can start seeing some patterns, some repeated patterns, some trends, etc. So this is a great way to use the ChatGPT Code Interpreter plugin. Another thing we can do is fit models to data that we load. So from the solar prediction data that we have, right? We could say something like fit a few time series models and showcase the quality of the fit. We compare the best performance, the best performing models, and plot a comparison of the best performing models. So let's see what happens. So now I'm just saying the fit time series model to this data that we uploaded, and show us the results, compare. So right now the model is going to be using some basic time series forecasting models. So ARIMA, SARIMA, and Profit from Facebook, which are widely used time series models. And let's take a look. So now it's explained it's going to use the stats model library to provide a comprehensive suite of statistical models like the ARIMA and SARIMA models. So now it's fitting, evaluating the performance. And now it got an error. And this is one of the coolest things about this. It got an error when it was running the code, but it just learned from the error that it got. so that we don't have to, manually go through that process, so that we can just look at the actual results at the end. So this is another awesome result, and we're going to see the results in a bit. Okay, so now it's doing root mean squared error. So essentially it's plotting results, getting these results and these values, and it's analyzing and comparing, because that's the thing that I asked for. And we're going to wait for a second while it finishes. There you go. So it plotted, it fit all of them. It fit the ARIMA model, it fit the SARIMA model, and now it's fitting the profit model from Facebook. And we should see the results. Okay, so this is cool. So it tried to fit the Facebook profit model and it couldn't. So now it's fitting a different model, exponential smoothing. And then it's just going to try to fit that, get the result, and now it's going to summarize and compare the models. And finally, we're going to get a plot of the fits for the solar radiation prediction. All right, there we go. So we have the actual data. And then, the colors could have been a little bit better, but we have the ARIMA, the SARIMA, and the ETS predictions. And so, and it's comparing. This is really cool. So it's comparing the results and discussing a little bit on which ones were a little bit better. So as you can see, it had these different results. So the best performing one for the root mean squared error was the ARIMA model. And of course, this is not going to be the best fit ever. That's something that you have to do yourself, where you got to fit different models and try different parameters. But this is a great way to get started on a time series data analysis project, where you can just get something fit to your model and you can take a look and see which ones are doing better right off the bat. Another one, another use case that's really interesting is getting summary reports from Jupyter Notebooks. Now, imagine you have a Jupyter Notebook in Kaggle or whatever you found, and it's doing some exploratory data analysis on a data set that you care about. But let's imagine that you don't really understand everything that's in there, and you want to get just a summary of what's going on in that Jupyter Notebook. So that's something you can do with ChatGPT Code Interpreter. You can say something like create a summary report from this Jupyter Notebook, illustrating, explaining the main concepts and giving the necessary context. And for that, I'm going to fit in a Jupyter Notebook that I have prepared here, which is this brain tumor detection notebook that I got from Kaggle. So essentially, I'm going to upload a Jupyter Notebook, and I'm going to ask for a summarized report from that Jupyter Notebook explaining everything that's going on. Sure. Okay, so let's... So essentially now, we can just ask for create a summary report from this Jupyter Notebook explaining the main concepts and giving the necessary context. And I'm going to upload a Jupyter Notebook that I have stored here for a brain tumor detection problem that I downloaded from Kaggle, just as an example of something that you can do. So now I'm uploading, and now the model is working on the text from the Jupyter Notebook. It's going to read it through, and it's going to output back an explanation of everything that's going on that Jupyter Notebook. So it's explaining cell by cell, which is fascinating. So first, it provides an overview of the notebook. So the first cell is like CNNs, did I bring tumors, VG16, ImageNet, okay, importing libraries, okay, data preprocessing. Explaining the data preprocessing involves resizing images, converting to grayscale, normalizing with shaping. model building, compilation, training, evaluation. Okay. I'm not really satisfied with this explanation. So I'm going to ask it, can you give me some clarity on the concepts behind the analysis that was done? Sure, let's break it down. So CNNs, and then we'll explain what CNNs are. They can learn features, etc. VGG16, no for simplicity, can leverage the patterns the models learn from you. So now it's kind of like giving me the background on the Jupyter Notebook so that I can get a sense for, all right, so why the choices made on that Jupyter Notebook, why were they made and what was going on? And that's pretty much the application of getting summary report from the Jupyter Notebook directly in the ChatGPT code interpreter, which I think is a really cool application because sometimes for like big Jupyter Notebooks, you can just get a really clear summary of what is going on inside it instead of having to like go through the entire source code inside that Jupyter Notebook. The next application we're going to talk about is applying image processing to an image. So I'm going to upload an image, and then I'm going to ask ChatGPT to plot to do a few transformations on that image. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to give it an image. So I'm going to upload an image. In this case, I'm going to upload this pop art image that I have, and I'm going to say plot a histogram of the pixel values on this image across the 3 different channels. And now I'm going to get, as a result, the histogram of the pixel values on this image across the 3 different channels. So we can take a look, and there we go. So now I have a histogram with, there's better ways to plot it maybe, but you get the idea. The idea is essentially you see how pixel values are distributed. And now I want to say something like, turn this image into a sketch. So now this is another image processing idea that you can apply. You can apply all sorts of image processing techniques, essentially anything that, has OpenCV in it, because that's what it's using here. You can do in an image from just asking to do it. So sketch of an image, and there you have it, sketch of the image. So this is a really cool application of the ChatGPT code interpreter, which is to apply image processing techniques from natural language directly to the image. You just upload the image and you're done. Now, one of my favorite applications of the ChatGPT code interpreter is to run OCR on text inside of an image. So, for example, one thing that I can do is I can upload an image of text. So I'm going to find my image of text here. So I'm going to go to my folder, content map, ChatGPT code interpreter. And now I want to say, where's my image? And there you go. Now I have an image with text here, and I'm going to say, run OCR on this text. Extract the text inside this image. Now I'm going to run this, and this is what's going to happen. So we wait a little second, and we'll wait a little bit, and now there you go. Now that's awesome. So extracted the text from the image, and this is the output, which is perfect. It's exactly what the image said, and there you go. You can extract text from the from an image where there's text inside, and you just get the final output, which is amazing. And now this is kind of cool because this is kind of like the segue to the next application, which is you can extract color from a picture and then make that image into a palette that you can download. So the next application can do is, as the OCR text that you guys just saw was suggesting, you can create a strip that extracts the top 5 colors from a picture and then make it into a palette to download. And I'm going to add the let's think step by step to make sure the model knows to be very thorough and do things step by step. So I'm going to upload some random image. I'm going to upload the same pop art image, and I'm going to run it. So now it's breaking it down into load the image, extract the colors, find the top 5 dominant colors, create a palette image using these colors, and then save it as a PNG file. And there we go. So this is the image I uploaded. Now we're seeing it. You get the point. You can extract colors from an image and then save that to another image, and then, have that a palette, and that's what you can do. Okay. So the next application that I think it's probably one of my favorites is you can get an image of text, and you can extract the code and run the code from that image of text. So to showcase that, I have an image here that I'm going to upload, and I'm going to add the following prompt. I'm going to say, use OCR to extract the code from this image, correct any mistakes that may have appeared after the OCR, and run the code. Just to make sure that ChatGPT doesn't get confused, I'm going to create a new chat. I'm going to access my GPT-4 code interpreter. And then I'm going to say, use OCR to extract the code from this image, correct any mistakes that may have appeared, and run the code. And now I'm going to upload the file. I have the code snippet file here. So first I'm going to say, display the image of the code. And then use OCR to extract, so that you guys can take a look at what we're doing. So first we're going to display the image. So this is the image that we have. There we go. So it's it's an image of a very simple Python script where, we're plotting the sinusoid, the sin of some data that we created. And now we're going to write some OCR code to extract the text from this image. Make sure that ChatGPT takes a look at the extracted code so that it fixes any mistakes that the OCR may have made, and then it will run the code. Does this implementation? Sure. And now, perfect. That's exactly the answer for this code. That is exactly the answer. So as you can see, you can take a picture of code and run that code right inside the ChatGPT code interpreter, which for me is just one of the coolest applications of the ChatGPT code interpreter. We talked about EDA. We talked about how you can do data visualization and OCR in images, applying image processing. You can do OCR from code and then run the code. Now, just what I think is interesting is how we can start thinking about combining those things into workflows that really improve how we think. Right. So we saw a few examples of how we can use the ChatGPT code interpreter to do things like doing OCR in images, applying any type of image processing technique, doing data visualization and exploratory data analysis. And in the future, I want to explore interesting workflows where we can integrate these different capabilities of the ChatGPT code interpreter plugin to build really fast and effective research workflows. Workflows where you're thinking about bigger picture stuff instead of concerning yourself with smaller issues, let's say. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Cheers.